In an age of gaming where RPGs, first-person shooters, open world, live service, or just free-to-play multiplayer games in general are the forefront genre of gaming as a whole, it's incredibly refreshing to see part of the industry start to lean into the platformer genre, especially classics. 2024 has been this insane, almost gap year compared to previous years, but this is a gap year that's filled with so much goodness nonetheless, and with a heavy emphasis on remasters and bringing classics back. A lot of these remasters I never thought I would ever see a re-release for. Looking at the recently announced Croc, Legend of the Gobbos, I never thought I would see a re-release of this. This is a cult favorite platformer game from the PlayStation 1 era. Seemingly, Argonaut Games, the developers of Croc, are wanting to make a bit of a return in the gaming industry, and the first step towards doing that is remastering Croc. This isn't just a simple remaster of the PlayStation 1 game though, there's a lot of cool additional stuff that's been thrown into this. This includes redone textures for high resolution, finally ditching the tank controls, though this is still an option for people who like the Croc tank controls, for that of a modern control scheme, finally. There's also this new feature known as the Crocopedia that will be included that includes the entire design document of the original game, showing people a ton of never before seen stuff to do with Croc. This is definitely one of those remasters that isn't just as simple as increasing frame rate and resolution, but one that's got a lot of love and still stays very faithful to the original, even with all of the additional changes. Argonaut Games have even said that depending on the success of this remaster, they are very prepared to do the same for Croc 2 and even follow up with a brand new game. Another classic PlayStation 1 platformer that saw a deluxe remaster of sorts this year is Tomba. Quite a niche 2.5D side-scrolling platformer title that does have a cult following, especially within the speedrunning community. This was one of the first remasters to be developed by Limited Run Games using their Carbon engine, a game engine that's specific purpose is to remaster classic titles from that PlayStation 1 era. Another game that is highly anticipated and has been for many years now that will also be using the Carbon engine is Gex. That entire trilogy is currently being remastered. It's not releasing yet. It was supposed to get a 2024 release date, but due to recent news, it seems that LRG are wanting to put in a lot of extra stuff. It's been described as being the most ambitious remaster they've done so far, so as of right now we're looking at a 2025 release. I'm a massive Gex fan. I grew up specifically with Gex 2, Enter the Gecko. It is one of my all-time favorite platformers, so to know that Gex is coming back is super exciting. Even more exciting, it was recently confirmed that a brand new Rayman game, finally after so long, after the fantastic Legends and Origins, is finally in the early stages of development over at Ubisoft. This started as a leak from Insider Gaming claiming that apparently there is a Rayman remake that is codenamed Project Steambot. It's in the early stages of development and is being developed by the Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown team, as unfortunately that game didn't perform all too well. Ubisoft have shifted them to a brand new project, and this is Rayman. And about a day later, this rumor was followed up by Ubisoft themselves to officially confirm that yes, they are currently in the exploration phase of the Rayman brand. Now, considering that they followed up after the rumor, and the rumor does claim that this is a Rayman remake rather than a brand new Rayman game, this would likely be Ubisoft testing the waters to see if people do want to see a return of Rayman beginning with a remake. For a lot of developers, it generally seems to be that using a remaster or a remake as a starting point to see if a certain video game should return is generally the best course of action, rather than spending a ton of money creating something entirely brand new, which is also very time consuming. The remaster remake treatment is generally the way to go. If this truly is the case though, I do hope it is 3D Rayman. We haven't had a 3D Rayman game since Rayman 3, which is a very long time ago. Both Legends and Origins are fantastic Rayman games, however, they are 2D side-scrolling ones similar to the first game. So I do hope that if this information is correct, the remake is either for Rayman 2 or Rayman 3. The only issue here is this is Ubisoft, and so do we trust a modern Ubisoft to create a competent new or remade Rayman game. The PlayStation Classics catalog has also seen a huge push throughout 2024. Clearly, PlayStation want to get a little bit more serious with bringing some of their old school PlayStation Portable, PS1 and PS2 games to modern systems. And this is great because the Classics catalog has remained dormant since the announce of Classics coming to the PlayStation Store back in 2016 for PS4. We've seen both Jak and Daxter: The Lost Frontier as well as Daxter, two PlayStation Portable Jak and Daxter titles, finally make their way to modern systems. This means that literally all of the Jak and Daxter games are now available on PS4 and PS5. We also got Sly Cooper and the Thievius Raccoonus, one of my personal all-time favorite platformer games and platformer characters as a whole. This is only the first game so far, we're still yet to receive 2 and 3. Ratchet & Clank has also seen a little bit of love, though we are still waiting for the PlayStation 2 games. We at least now have Secret Agent Clank, along with Size Matters, finally with trophy support. Even Mr. Mosquito made a return. Can you believe Mr. Mosquito can now be played on a PlayStation 5? Insanity. Looking at the Classics catalog, it's finally in a position where it's like, yeah, a lot of these games, out of the total 153 different games here, are decent, beloved classic titles from PSP, PS1, and PS2. Yeah, there are still definitely some games missing here, but give PlayStation a little bit more time and hopefully we'll get to a point where it's immaculate status. A worthy mention for Nintendo is Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Kazooie, has finally released over on NSO. The issue with these games, though, is you absolutely are required to have a Nintendo Switch Online membership in order to play these classics, which you guys should know, I hate this kind of thing. We've seen a little bit of it with the Classics catalog for PlayStation Plus. However, this is a big deal because we have to keep in mind that Microsoft are the IP owners of Banjo, as they own Rare. So they have to greenlight if anything more happens with this IP. Still, it's cool to know that the 2 big Banjo games can now be played over on Switch, their home where they belong. One of the absolute best Disney platformers or Mickey Mouse games in general, Epic Mickey saw a remaster remake this year. Now, because my backlog is omega stacked as of right now, I'm still yet to go through this, but from what I've already experienced of this game, it is such a faithful remaster remake of that original Wii exclusive. Finally, it's no longer chained to the abyss of the Nintendo Wii, we can play it on all platforms. Purple Lamp, the developers of Rebrushed, have also made it very clear that depending on the reception of the game, they are prepared to do the same type of thing for Epic Mickey 2, along with even creating a brand new game. So hopefully sales are looking good. This is one of the better Disney video games. PlayStation have also returned to their platformer roots this year with Astro Bot. To have a first-party PlayStation studio developing a platformer game doesn't happen all too often. And right now, because of everything that Astro Bot is, along with all of the unique cameos and PlayStation history intertwined into the game itself, yes, Astro Bot is 100% my game of the year. It kind of seems weird to have a platformer title from PlayStation to this quality and is this good in the year of 2024, especially after the absolutely abysmal Concord, which we've recently just found out that Firewalk Studios, the devs behind Concord, have been shut down. We even saw a brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game this year, Mutant Mayhem, which is an action platformer, very much a video game from the PlayStation 2 early PlayStation 3 era. And along with that, there has also just been a lot of classics just in general, not specifically confined to the platformer genre, but we've had games like Tomb Raider, the first 3 games from PlayStation 1, remastered into a package, Beyond Good and Evil, Sonic Generations, Soul Reaver, Lollipop Chainsaw, Dead Rising Deluxe Remaster, and even Shadows of the Dam. This year has been just a phenomenal year of classics, and I know there is that whole fatigue thing of receiving remasters and remakes, but I'm all for them so long as the video game that the devs are trying to remake or remaster ultimately makes sense. We've seen something like The Last of Us Part 2 at the beginning of the year receiving a remaster, and very recently Horizon Zero Dawn, along with even Until Dawn that came out last month. Those are 3 cases right there of remakes or remasters that simply do not need to be a thing. Please, for the love of God, Sony, put put your money elsewhere. Still though, it's nice to see that looking at specifically the platformer genre of video games, throughout 2024 it's made a pretty hefty return. Generally speaking, we have to rely on either Nintendo or indie developers to get our platformer fix. And I do think that this will continue to be the case, but at least we are starting to see that with the return of a lot of these classic platformer titles and the obvious interest surrounding them, especially with Astro Bot. I think that is the big one. The reception towards Astro Bot so far has been fantastic. It will hopefully encourage more developers, especially big studio developers, to put money into the platformer genre. I don't think we'll ever return to a position where the platformer genre is the forefront of video game genres or anything. We're well past that, but it's incredibly clear that gamers still love to run, jump, collect stuff. While this has been a little bit of a cool down year in video games, it has been so much fun nonetheless, preparing us for the big 2025. Next year in gaming is going to be insanity. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. Be sure to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. Be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything going on here. A big thank you to my wonderful patrons. I hope you're all having a fantastic day, and we'll talk real soon.